The Pulse-WV Live, a network that beats to the heart of God, and I am your host, John Fowler. So glad to have you tuned in to another edition. We're talking about the reaction scenario today. And I was looking just a second ago, the 5 most common reactions when someone disagrees with a statement. And so the first one is there is a verbal disagreement. So directly expressing a disagreement with a statement like this, I don't think that's correct, or I disagree with that. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, when you tell somebody, well, that's crazy, or you're crazy, or that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, when you get into talking about that, you begin to insult the person instead of the actual topic of what that person is talking about. So you have to be real careful with that. So then the next thing would be the counter argument, providing evidence or reasoning to refute the statement that the person has made, actually presenting the facts. Now, you can literally, and I've heard people say this before, in this world today, it's not politically correct, but I've heard people say, well, he's an idiot. Well, when you say that, what you're talking about is the 3 parts of, you have an imbecile, you have an idiot, and then a moron. Those are the 3 characteristics of mental retardation. And so when you say that somebody's an idiot, are they really? So you really are saying that person is mentally retarded. And I know that you're just saying that as a comment, but we have to be careful how we communicate. So then, okay, so we have the verbal disagreement, say, I don't think that's correct, or I disagree with that, and then provide evidence on the reason why the person thinks like it is, and then begin to question. Ask questions to challenge the statement to get a better understanding of the reasoning behind it. Now, a lot of times when you begin to question things, and we're talking about the reaction scenario today, and I'll get into it here in just a minute, is many times people, when you begin to question, they will think that you're being smart aleck. But no, you're just actually trying to get additional information on what's going on. So then there are also nonverbal clues showing disagreement through body language, such as shaking your head, crossing your arms. When a person crosses their arms, they literally are disengaged. You have lost them, and so you got to figure out how to get them back. Or a display of being skeptical. Yeah, there we go. With facial expressions. So, people are skeptical. I mean, they really are. So then there becomes a time of redirection, changing the topic or steering the conversation into a different direction to avoid further conflict. I think that's where people mess up, especially in the Christian world. People don't know how to redirect. They stay at it, they keep pressing, they keep pushing, and then a conflict begins to happen. And that's not what God wants, especially in your life and in the church. So as we talk about the reaction scenario, when someone disagrees with you, what you need to do and what I need to do, and I think I do a really good job of this, but you have to remain calm and respectful. Heated arguments rarely lead to a productive outcome, hardly ever. So instead of listening to their perspective, we go and we just pounce back. But see, what you have to do is you have to understand that Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1 says that a soft answer, which in the King James Version will tell you that a gentle answer, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a grievous word stirs up anger. So we have to be extremely cautious on how we respond. My mom always told me, chew your words before you spit them out. And you have to make sure that you do that. Maintain eye contact and use body language to show an openness rather than a defensiveness. And so, don't have a mean look on your face, and don't, have your arms folded. The problem that I've seen in people's lives is they can't argue properly. People don't know how to do it. They begin to get off of the subject and onto the person, and begin to insult the person instead of the topic that they're talking about. So avoid interrupting when somebody is disagreeing with you, and fully express their thoughts before you respond. Fully listen to what they're saying. A lot of people, especially because this is a political year and there's just a lot of different comments out there. But let me tell you something. If you can hear somebody out without responding until they're done, I want to encourage you to do that. Acknowledge their points. Find common ground if possible. Now, some things as a believer in Jesus, you cannot compromise. You cannot say, well, I see that. Or you can't say somebody that's for abortion, well, I can see that. No, there's certain things that you can't. But you also can do it with love and with compassion. Seeking understanding, that gives us to the next thing. Rather than focusing on and convincing the other person of your viewpoint, seek to understand why they believe what they believe. And so what happens is this approach will bring mutual respect from the top and often open doors for a really good conversation. I remember my son and I played golf a few weeks ago in Kentucky, and we went and had lunch, and I said, "Watch this." I was talking to my son about witnessing. And so I asked the waitress, I said, "Do you believe in God?" I said, "I'm a pastor." I said, "Let me ask you, do you believe in God?" And she thought for a second, and she said, "No." And then she began to tell me why she didn't believe in God, and I listened. And I could have said, "Well, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard." You don't do that. You listen to what people are saying. Remember, not only your opinion doesn't always matter, if I could say that. And many times people talk too much. I've said that before too. That's why God gave you one mouth and two ears, so you can hear twice as much as what you say. So get that mutual conversation and that mutual respect going, even when you disagree, because you can still lead that person to Jesus, still get that person where they need to be with Him. But if you close it off with disrespect and insulting words, you could lose that person forever. So in that conversation that I had with that lady, I ended it with saying, and she shook my hand, she said, "Thank you for not being judgmental." And I told her, "I will be praying for you." And my son and I were in the same restaurant the other day, and I didn't see the person that was working that I saw before. But I've been praying for her, no doubt. James 1:19 says, "Wherefore, my brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. Husbands, wives, be careful, because words are like toothpaste. Man, once you squirt it out there, you can't put it back. And then you've got to ask forgiveness for what you've done." You may be right, but it's all in our delivery. Ask questions to encourage the other person to explain their perspective. Summarize their point back to them and assure your understanding correctly. I learned that from Mike Spangler from Poca Valley Bank. He taught me how to do that, and I am forever indebted to him for that. Express empathy by recognizing that you may disagree, but also you can walk away disagreeing but still be friends. So then you also have to respond with grace. Jesus taught us to respond with grace and love even if we disagree. So what happens? This is a Christ-like reaction. Respond with grace. So a Christ-like reaction not only honors God, but it also serves as a witness to others that love Him. I was around some people the other day, and this one fella had done something to me several months ago, and I actually hadn't seen this person since then, and that was the first time. So the person walks in, and and this person is to my back, so I turn, and I said, "Hey," called him by name, shook their hand, and there were a bunch of people standing around waiting on my reaction. And I just carried on the casual conversation, But the person, you could look in their eyes and know that they were guilty. And, but, those things happen. So this person is not saved either. So what happens is I could lose them forever if I say, well, you shouldn't have done that. You blah, 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 and go out and duke it out. No, that's not what God has called us to do. God has called us to love and to have grace. You want to learn love and grace? Go to the DMV, wherever you live, and that will be your test. I'm going after a while. Jesus help me. Matthew chapter 5:44 says, "But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which disrespectfully use you and persecute you." You have to learn to love. Man, that's the hardest thing. So pray silently for wisdom and patience during the conversation. If somebody you're having a conversation with, there's a person that I know that absolutely can't stand me and wouldn't throw a cup of water on me if I was on fire, because I don't read the same interpretation of the Bible that they do. But they stand behind the pulpit and love Jesus, but can't stand me. How do you do that? So as you look at leaving the conversation, leave it in a positive note. Offer blessings and peace. Well, I don't agree with that. But, of course, if you're Tim Morris, and he and I have been friends since third grade, he'll say something I may disagree with. I'll say, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard you say. And then we laugh about it. But that's just the way it is. Some people you can do that with. Some people you will insult them till Jesus comes. So what you want to do is when you're having a reaction, when you're having a scenario of disagreements here, stay encouraging. And also, don't be arrogant about things. When someone does not want to discuss faith, it is important also to remain encouraging to them rather than be pushy. Well, let me tell you why. If they don't want to hear it, then move on. So you have to look for opportunities. Look for opportunities, but not every opportunity is going to bring forth fruit. Sometimes it may upset people. But you have to remember, Jesus didn't come to this world to be popular. He came to this world to save and seek the lost and to bring them to redemption. So when you think about this, look at 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 1. I exhort, therefore, that first of all, supplication, prayer, intercession, and giving of thanks be made to all men. So what you have to do is, if you're really struggling with forgiving somebody, if you're really struggling because you've had an argument with somebody and you're trying to get back to where you once were, ask God to soften their hearts and soften your heart and open your mind and open their mind for His truth. There's always three sides to every story. There's your side, my side, and the truth. And we want God's truth. And so what you have to do is you have to pray that God will soften their hearts. And then when you do, then you can get to a place where God can move and you can see great things happen. You say, well, why are you talking about this today, the reaction scenario? Because there are a lot of people who disagree with each other in this world, and it's separating relationships. It's destroying marriages, destroying churches, and it's also destroying businesses. And learn how to communicate with people and share the love of Jesus with them. And I guarantee you, your life will be much better, and so will theirs. Hey, if you're not where you need to be today, all you have to do is say, Father, forgive me of my sins. I ask you to come into my life. I ask you to use me for your kingdom, glory, and honor. you pray that prayer today, your name is written in heaven, and I'm so thankful that God's saved you today. Would you let us know? And I appreciate that so much. We're going to be in Winston-Salem on Thursday, every Thursday, 7 p.m. in Paughtown, North Carolina. And we'll be there. You could catch us broadcasting live on my Facebook page as well as the Pulse Winston and also on the Pulse WV Live. We're in partnership with the Church of the Living God, and so we're excited about what God's doing. So can't wait to get there tomorrow, see the team, Bobby, Jennifer, Cabe, everyone that's going to be a part of this. I appreciate what God's doing, and we're really excited about that. So join us tomorrow, either online or in person in Paughtown, North Carolina. Hey, several different ways that you can give to this ministry, and they're on the screen, but let me read them to you. You can text the word PULSE, the 1-304-244-3187. Go to thepulsechurch.com, give through PayPal. Mail your love gift to P.O. Box 141, Gassaway, West Virginia, 26624. What a podcast today. Thank you, Lord. And I pray that you share, like, and subscribe, let people know. And if you have a conflict with somebody, you may want to preposition this if you send it to them, because they're going to think that you're trying to insult them because you don't agree with them. So you might want to say, hey, I heard a podcast today. You and I need to sit down and listen to this together. Love you all. Thanks for listening and watching the Pulse WV Live, a network that beats to the heart of God.